Okay, so here we are. This is part one of a three-part series about befriending the mind, which is hopefully why we're all here today. And certainly one really valuable overall goal of meditation practice. There's so many different ways that we can say what we're doing here. We might say reducing stress or anxiety or some other kind of angst or pain, or we might say learning to face it better. We might be here to connect more with other things in the world, people, ideas. But at the core of all of these is this idea of also befriending what is. And everything that is getting filtered through our mind. So sometimes we think of our mind just as the thoughts or emotions that are coming in, which is probably our most immediate and intense experience of our mind. But our mind is also everything that we're seeing, everything that we're eating, everything that we hear and feel. These are all filtered in relationship with our mind. So befriending our mind is no different than befriending our experience. And befriending, we could also think of as acceptance. We could also think of as caring. Lots of different words we can use, which might feel like they have a little different tone. They're all at the core the same. So, session one, this session is I've titled, I think it was Meeting the Thousand-Faced Mind, which is in part a reference to Joseph Campbell, author and cultural anthropologist who I love, who had a famous book called Hero with a Thousand Faces. But in this case, we have a mind that has 1,000 faces. And in our own ways, we don't need to mythologize about it. We're all familiar with many of the different faces of this mind, some of which are totally off the rockers, let's say, some of which we don't enjoy interacting with, some of which we do think are kind of wiser to lead our life. So there's lots of different minds or internal characters that we have. And you might have seen the illustration for this first session. It kind of looked like somebody's head, and it was filled up with a bunch of different characters and heads in there. I don't know about you all, but I certainly feel like that sometimes. And it can certainly be actually a blessing to be able to identify these characters. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. Rather than saying, let's make all the characters go away, we're going to become familiar with these characters, which actually helps us in not thinking that we are the character, which is the real danger, which I certainly fall into. I think we all fall into, is sometimes one voice is speaking and we start to think, that's my voice. I am really angry, or I am really downtrodden, or I am this or that. And it's true to say we are, but it's not inclusive of everything. It's just one part of it. So here we are trying to identify some of these voices. I'm going to read a story or a text from my tradition, from the Rinzai Zen tradition, that says something a little bit about this. And then we'll begin the practice. Every day, Master Zuigan Shigen used to call to himself, "Oh, Master," and would himself answer, "Yes." "Are you awake?" he would ask, and would answer, "Yes, I am." Never be deceived by others, any day, any time. No, I will not. And then a little commentary on this kind of goofy little exchange of this guy talking to himself. It's kind of cute. You can imagine an old guy, some old wizened meditation master talking to himself while he's rummaging about his kitchen in the morning or something. In the commentary, it says, Old Master Zwigon himself calls and himself responds. He has a lot of masks of goblins and demons to play with. A calling one, an answering one, an awake one, and one who will not be deceived by others. If you take these different appearances as really existing, you are altogether mistaken. So, part of the instruction for us is they're all there and none of them are exactly us. And now we get to play with some of these masks a little bit in our practice. So here we go. If you haven't already, you can establish a comfortable seated posture. We'll practice for about, let's say, 20 minutes. Feel free to chat me right now if you need to go at the 30-minute mark. I can make some indication of when that is. Otherwise, we'll plan to practice for 20 minutes, going to 12:35 p.m. Eastern Time. So we've established a comfortable sitting posture. You might just notice what muscles are holding our body up first. And as I start to pay attention to that, noticing my back, my hips, my neck, I also notice these places that don't need to hold my body up. They might think they do. Certainly my face doesn't need to hold my posture up, so I can let my face relax. Same thing with my throat and shoulders. Those aren't helping much. What about my lower belly? Maybe that can rest a little more on my ribs. As these soften, see if you can allow yourself to settle straight down into your chair or your seat, resting more of your weight on your seat. If you're not already, you can allow your eyes to drift towards closed, either fully closed or just softened. Take a moment to check in. What's happening to my breath right now? What's happening in my mind right now? What kind of thoughts am I having? Just get a sense of where our baseline is. This is how we're starting. My breath is somewhat like this. Could be shallow, deep, long, short. Could feel fulfilling or could feel not enough. This is how we're starting. And same thing with our mind. Could feel lucid, could feel murky, could feel busy, could feel slothish or just relaxed. This is where we're starting. Touch in for just a moment with what feels comfortable or relieving about your experience right now. Sure, other things will come up, discomforts, pains, physical, mental. But for now, we're turning to something that brings us some pleasure or comfort. It might be the relief of not needing to think, or gentle flow of breath. Could be the temperature of the room, or the support of your chair or seat. Just turning over and over to what feels comfortable and the feeling of being comfortable. And as you continue to sit just that way, just notice the sound of this bell coming in and follow it until it goes out completely. Do that again, just following carefully all the way to the end of the bell. You might notice thoughts wanting to push in. They'll have their time in our practice today. But for the time being, just carefully follow to the end of the bell and stay quiet just as the bell stays quiet for a few moments. Continuing this way, seeing if you can find something easeful and comforting at the end of the bell. One more time, just finding whatever ease in the quiet after the bell that you can. Seeing if you can keep it alive by just hearing your breath or feeling your breath in the moments that the bell subsides. our base, and we'll continue to come back to the bell. Recognizing any qualities that are still, sweet, easeful. It is from that place that we will enter into the meat of our practice today. We can always return to these qualities using the breath and the bell when we feel far away from them. I'm going to strike the bell again, and from this place of ease, wait to see what thoughts emerge first, what voice emerges first, or if it's an image, what image. Paying attention to the bell for as long as you can, staying in the silence as long as you can, and waiting for a thought. As it emerges, see if you can put a name on it. For me, doing it right mind, perfectionist mind, or perfectionist character. Let's do it again. Just putting a name to the first thing that pops up. First voice. Worried character, worried Sam. You might think of your own name for whatever comes up. Just giving this character a name, this mind a name, this person internally. What will you call them simply? Again. It might be happy character, or anxious character, or concerned character. Just seeing it as it is, and helping yourself by putting a name to it. I'll strike the bell again, and this time the game continues. You can continue to put a name on each character that you hear share their voice with you. And just be the receiver of these internal voices, or images in some cases. Putting a kind of name to each, and you might notice when the same one is coming back up again. following the bell all the way to silence. And then the game begins. And you can name as many internal friends as you like. Each of these voices has a feeling as well. Seeing if you can just notice. What does it feel like to have this voice, to hear this thought, to see this thought? Naming and checking in. What does this feel like? If you feel that one thought process is particularly sticky, try adding in the words to yourself with humor, with openness. Is that so? Is that so? Or if you want to say something more serious, could be maybe. Don't seek out a voice. Wait for it to come to you. And if you can, wait more gently, more relaxedly. Low stakes in this game. What's the name of the thought pattern, and how does it feel? Is that so? Is that so? As you feel ready, you can just drop any idea that you're supposed to be doing anything at all. And just sit for a moment without any need to do anything at all. Just sit. As you feel ready, you can move your practice towards a close. Perhaps taking some deeper, larger breaths, making some small movements, cracking your back ferociously if you're like me. And as you're ready, you can come back visually as well with your eyes. And immediately take a moment to review and actually jot down, whether it's on your computer or on a piece of paper, a couple of the names that you identified during practice today. And we'll come back in a moment and discuss these names that we're jotting down.